Does it grow?
Yeah. Very rapidly.
It's a queen.
How did you know that?
She'll breed. You'll die.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We're a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Praska, and with me is...
your other host, Khalid Hussein.
What's going on, other host?
Not much, man. You know, just doing my thing, keeping it clean, keeping it cool. But what's going on with you? I want to hear about all your adventures. You're the one with like a story this time.
I kind of am. Yeah, good point. Yeah, there's been a bit of a hiatus, so thank you, fans, for bearing with us on a little delay in the XENOMANIA episodes here. But yeah, I was out of town. Where family took a little trip to abroad to Greece for a wedding of a friend of ours. So it was a blast. But we took our two small children, 4.5 and 19 months. So there were some ups and downs with that. I'd say. Overall worth it though, right?
Are you asking me?
No, my wife just gave me a look.
You're asking her. Got it.
I was like,
I do not know.
Yeah, a little cameo there from Weifenstein, wife of the podcast. Give me a glance.
I had to fight the urge when you were saying that there were ups and downs with taking your kids to another country to be like, well, yeah, man, the plane, like, it kind of has to.
I love that you're leaning into the puns.
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe it's a forecast of how I'll be for the episode.
That makes me really eager to get into it.
Yeah, you eager?
I'm pretty eager. You know what I'm going to do though?
Jet lagged?
Not too jet lagged. It's been a few days since I'm back, so I'm good.
Okay.
But you know what I'm going to do here?
What?
I'm going to introduce our guest.
I don't know why you had to tee that up.
I mean, why not, right? So today, joining us is loyal Frankenstein, Grant Hasbrouck, who's a fellow geek graphic designer who helped finalize the designs for our own podcast logo, which is really exciting. He's a longtime friend of the pod and friend of both of us. And like Khalid, has come into the Alien franchise, at least the films, with some pretty fresh eyes. So welcome, Grant.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Yeah, it's kind of funny because like I'm the friend who never watches anything. Mm-hmm. There was even a Facebook group called Grant Hasn't Seen It for all the movies that they needed to introduce me to. So generally, most things I'm coming into with fresh eyes, including this.
Yeah, but you're really doubling down into it. Like you've kind of been over watching most of these movies as we've been doing the XENOMANIA series with me, which has been a lot of fun. And so you've been I feel like you've been diving deep into it just along with us in a sense. So it's fortuitous that we're having you on as a guest now during this series as well.
Definitely. And I mean, it has kind of like a dear place to my heart. I didn't get to like watch him growing up, but I actually had like an alien action figure of the Xenomorph, just as like a 3 or 4-year-old. And I couldn't pronounce alien back then, so I called it Agilent. And my dad brought that up a few years ago, and I loved it, so I made it all of my handles on all social media.
Agilent. I do really like that. I feel like that's almost harder to say than alien, though.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I did that, but
it's like that kid logic though of like the thing that you made up to make it easier is like significantly more convoluted.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. I like that story though. Do you still have the figure?
I'm not sure what happened to it, but I found a different one on eBay after, like I said, my dad brought it up and I was like, oh yeah, I should go track down another one of those. And I have it, locked up in a little case on my mantle for everyone to see when they come into the basement.
I love that. Do you by any chance know which xenomorph it is? Because if you've been listening along, we noticed that each film has like subtle differences in their designs. Do you think you could pick it out just by sight which one it is supposed to be?
Based on the packaging that it came in, I believe it was from the second one.
That's a cheat packaging.
Yep, sorry.
How dare you read?
Yeah, right.
But it even has like a little face hugger that kind of
Ooh.
attaches to the back of its head, which isn't super canon, but like it's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. All right,
I'll
well,
allow it.
you'll have to show me when I come over next time.
For sure.
So Grant, since this is your first time on the podcast, I have a couple new guest questions that we ask all our new guests. Are you feeling ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. There's a little hesitation there. Making me nervous.
I don't blame him. You said it like a game show host or something.
Right. What does
Like,
this mean?
This is like not that hard, dude. You're fine. Joe teed it up a lot. Like he put some.
We don't have
grease
to talk
behind
about
it.
we don't have to talk about like astrology or like chakras or anything like that, right?
You have
Potent
3
potables.
lifelines. Just make sure you don't waste them. These questions are
okay.
intense.
Noted.
Super intense. All right. Question number 1. Grant, in all of pop culture, what would you consider to be your favorite monster? And if it isn't the same, what would you think would be the scariest that you've come across?
Okay, so this one's also like a deep callback. And so when I was like probably 4 years old, my parents rented Jurassic Park. And I know that's not technically a monster, but you know, the ones that are in those films actually we know are now not like scientifically accurate. So in a way, it is a fictional monster. And I was so scared and just like hiding under the blankets, just peeking in between and watching the T-Rex just kind of like crush cars and the velociraptors chase people down. So those dinosaurs, but especially the T-Rex.
I think that works. Yeah, that counts.
No, that's a very reasonable pick. I don't know if we've ever come down one way or the other on it, but dinosaurs are monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. Especially those dinosaurs. I mean, like, if you ever watch any behind the scenes things about what they did to like bring those creatures to life in that movie, like it's right up our wheelhouse too.
I mean, I'm sure we'll get to it one of these days.
Yeah. The sequels, on the other hand, ugh.
Yeah, they're too good to talk about.
Right. Untouchable.
Something like that.
Just the pantheon is just full of Jurassic Park sequels.
All right, Grant. Next question. And what would you kind of consider to be like primarily on your geek card? Like, what do you find yourself the most geeky about?
So I'm kind of like an ADHD guy. So when I find something that I really like, I am compelled to dive headlong into it. And I would call myself pretty expert on D&D and tabletop stuff over the past 5 years since I started playing with you in that campaign that we are still in. It is Horde of the Dragon Queen. We finally hit level 8. We're almost at the boss. But I've also played in some other groups, and I've read the player's manual end to end and the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I could probably run a campaign myself. But instead I picked up some other materials, and I'll kind of talk about that in my what the fandom at the end of it.
All right. Ooh, a little preview for what's to come.
Prepared with a what the fandom.
Yeah, I like that. No, very rarely are people prepared. Like only I think a few have come prepared because I always forget about that one when like telling guests what to think about.
I did just listen to all the Xenomorph episodes today. So.
Oh, today! Wow, speed ran.
Just keep them fresh.
Wow. All right. Well, then you probably remember a lot more of my opinions on all of this than I do with the hiatus and everything like that.
And Jim's opinions.
And lots
very opinionated.
They're fresh.
And so Grant, you kind of answered this question already with the Xenomorph like action figure that you've got, but is there I like to ask our guests for these episodes like what kind of their story is with the Alien franchise. And I kind of know yours already since you've been kind of watching it with me and you talked about the action figure. But I think another question that could be kind of an interesting follow-up. Most people find the first 2 Alien films to be arguably the most iconic, and they've been easily the most influential in like pop culture. But I think it says it can kind of say something about the type of like fan you are in the franchise, or maybe what you're looking for out of sci-fi, of which one you tend to prefer, Alien or Aliens. And I know that you have a strong opinion on this. Would you be willing to share?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely Alien, hands down. And that's not because Aliens isn't great. I absolutely love Aliens. There's a reason why it's so iconic. It's the reason why it's everybody's favorite generally. but that's not basically what I want out of it. Like Alien brought this brand new, super fresh thing. Like, I mean, props to Geiger. I'm a designer, so I care so much about art and especially avant-garde stuff that is just kind of like genre breaking. And there was nothing like that on the market. And like, I mean, even though James Cameron brought a lot to the table with Aliens 2, he was still building off the first one. And the first one was just doing everything fresh, with nothing to stand on. And so I loved the pacing of it. And I just loved the overall style of it, just being kind of grungy and slow and scary, but also having that pseudo futuristic vibes with like the mother computer, and kind of the other like spaceshipy things that we look back at now and see that they're like, yeah, it's super retro, but like that sort of way that ages really well. It's that like fun retro futurism.
Good points. Yeah. I think it's hard for me at this point to make a judgment call on either one, since we're like just diving so heavily into all of them. But I think that you make a lot of really compelling points for that first one. It's just something special about how it just started it all. Yeah.
But the first one I actually saw was Alien versus Predator, which I think is sort of in the same vein as Aliens, that it's just kind of like an action movie ride.
Yeah.
It's a bit weaker in the plot, though. After that, I saw Prometheus, and that's a whole nother thing.
We'll get into that one.
Yeah. And then from there, I think I saw Alien for the first time with you at the Riverview Theater, probably like 4 or 5 years ago.
That's
and then
right.
watched it again this year.
They did they still do, or they started those up again this year. They do midnight showings in the summer of like classic, like iconic movies and stuff. And Alien was on the run or on the list. And I think that it might be again this year too. So it'd be kind of a fun outing again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for answering, Grant. Khalid.
What?
I was gonna share you a clone pun with you, but I figured you just copy it.
Oh.
Nah.
Haha.
Had to splice things up with a pun.
Did you have that like back pocket, like just in case the first one almost certainly falls flat?
Hey, Khalid.
Oh my God, you have more? Can you just give me a number before we get into this?
What type of rights should clones have?
What?
Copyrights.
Nikki, I don't know if you can hear this, but I need you to take the big book of clone jokes away from Joe so we can go on with the show.
And it's a segue. Khalid, what are we talking about today? What are we doing for XENOMANIA Part 4? 4.
Thanks for asking, Joe. Is there any more echo left? I don't know how long that goes for. Okay.
4. I'm done.
Okay. Thanks for asking, Joe. Today we're doing the 1997 sci-fi horror film Alien Resurrection, directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet and written by Joss Whedon. Okay. Sorry, clearly I'm just getting that information for the first time for everybody listening at home. And I have a synopsis from our homeboy Google that goes a little something like this. The saga continues 200 years after Ripley sacrificed herself for the sake of humanity. Her erstwhile employers long gone. This time it is the military that resurrects the one-woman killing machine through genetic cloning to extract the alien from within her. But during the process, her DNA is fused with the queen, and then the aliens escape. Now, Ripley must decide where her allegiance lies. Done.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
Couldn't tell if you were serious about that Joss Whedon reveal, Khalid.
I was 110% serious.
That was genuine?
Yeah, I somehow this entire time did not know that Joss Whedon wrote this one.
And yeah, you were really off there on that synopsis there. I threw you off with my echoes and my clone puns, and then the Joss Whedon of it all threw you off too.
It was a perfect storm of things that just got me off kilter. And I had a little something in my throat while I was reading it. So it was just, honestly, not my best work.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I'll own it. I'll own it. Anyways, whoa, Joss Whedon. Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah. We'll get into it, Khalid, but there are a lot of like seeds of like Firefly in this, in a sense, when you kind of look at some of the archetypes of the characters. And you can also tell, like, I feel like when we were watching it, we just pointed out like a lot of like really bad, like jokey sexist lines that are just textbook Whedon, you know?
Oh, there were so many things that she said, that Sigourney said, that like I just like frowned and went, poor Sigourney. Like, poor Ripley. Like,
Oh.
you don't deserve this. Like,
Let's get into some initial thoughts. Why don't we start with Grant? Since you're the guest, what did you think of this movie?
I mean, when I compare it to the third one, I would say that like they actually, gave us a lot more to work with the characters. Right off the bat, they're like, here's these guys that are really kind of yucky, I guess, on this ship. This one guy's throwing a knife into another guy's leg and stuff like that, and the other guy's making really gross like advances on call and stuff like that. We don't really know exactly what's going on, but you slowly suss it out that they're pirates, and so it's like, oh, okay, I guess the convicts weren't bad enough; they needed to go even worse. So they got people that are kidnapping people and doing all that stuff, but they kind of give us a lot of reasons why they were more interesting than the last group, besides that they don't all look identical like the convicts did. And so it's like they're kind of this back and forth where it's like, do we like them, do we not? And then there's like a lot of those weird like French shots where everybody gets kind of close to each other and smells each other a lot, which is odd. But overall, I felt like there were a lot of like hooks and things that made it really interesting. I especially liked that one doctor who was way too interested in the aliens and like kept doing all those tests and things like that. And was like making out with the glass and stuff. Like, he's creepy, but he's way more interested in the rest of them. And most of them are just kind of like hands off and like, this is the mission. But he was, still compelling. There's some characters that are super fall flat or are just really awful in general. Beyond making us want them to be bad, they're also just generally bad. Like, the general, I just can't take seriously whatsoever. Like, he's supposed to be the general of this entire ship, but he's just like goofy New York cop accent almost, and just
he's from
totally
space,
odd and
Brooklyn.
unprofessional.
What do you want from him?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is that? Obviously, there's a lot of things that I think fall flat, but overall, I actually generally liked it. Like, it was an action film, a lot more than the first one's that slow horror. The third one is kind of in that vein because it's that one alien slowly taking them all out. But this one is kind of back to Aliens, where there's like a lot of different gunfights and a lot of different things going on at different areas. I especially liked that there was kind of like a little bit of intelligence going on with like the aliens killing the one alien to create a hole in the floor and things like that. So kind of like some surprises and twists. But I would love to hear what sounds like Khalid is going to tear it apart. So go ahead.
Is that my cue? Do I jump in?
Go for it, Khalid.
All right. Yeah. So I was very surprised that Joss Whedon was a screenwriter, except that it retroactively made a lot of sense because there were a lot of points in the movie where I was like, man, I would have loved this when I was 12. Like, that's what I kept coming back to. And it's like, oh yeah, like the way I loved everything Joss Whedon made when I was 12. Like, it's like 100% his DNA over this thing. I don't know, man, this thing is all over the place, isn't it? Like, I think it's so funny that like we don't even get introduced to the crew until like almost 30 minutes into the movie. Like, so much of the first like 20-25 minutes is just like the heavy lifting of explaining that it's like a clone of like the DNA remnants of Ripley, and like her going through like the whole born yesterday trope and like relearning how to be a person only to like also kind of be like a sociopath. And then they give us like 7 more characters that like we're supposed to care about. And it's just a lot going on. And it's a very, very busy movie. But I think that what made me like okay with it and like overall not like feel like it was like such a chore to get through like Alien 3 was that it at least like just like was like, look, we come from a franchise of movies where like they really bent like the genre as much as they can the other way in terms of like how serious and dark it is. Like, what if we took like the other angle and just like really exploited the fact that this is set in space and like make it a proper space adventure and give us like pirates and like stuff like that and like put it so far into the future that like the blue collar thing just doesn't really apply anymore. We're just like everything is fine now. Like your spaceship is run on autopilot and your crew is just a bunch of like criminals that like they're not like the engineers of the past. So I say all that to say like this was like a really interesting deviation that was ultimately unsuccessful. Like I didn't walk away going like, man, I'm really glad they tried that. But you know, in a lot of ways I kind of am. I'm like, yeah, all right. They went that direction and showed us exactly why the xenomorph doesn't really work in like your Star Wars style, like Guardians of the Galaxy style world of like other rogues and bandits, because then it's just like a wild creature that you're just going to take care of like this movie does. So I have a few other thoughts that we'll get into, but those are my initial thoughts anyway. What about you, Joe?
Thanks for asking, Khalid. I kind of have a special place in my heart for this one because I mentioned on the past episodes I kind of got into the Alien franchise around this time, 97, because I was seeing the trailers for this movie, like the commercials, and I was interested, so we got the others, and then I saw this one. So this was kind of the first one that I saw that was like new, and I'm like, oh, you know, like, well, if I'm like, I got into the movies, I'm like, this is the new one. So at 7-year-old me, like you said, like 12-year-old you, Khalid, eat this shit up. Like I ate this shit up. You know, like I loved it. I thought the action was super cool back then. The underwater sequence, like, will always forever stick with me just from how the impression it made on me as a kid. Like, I like would always just hold my breath watching it, like, you know. But it's a pretty fun scene. It's a pretty well done sequence overall. But watching it now, I do see what you're saying. There are a lot of choices. There's a lot of competing tones that don't always really mesh well together. It is, it's very much a product of its time. It feels very 90s, and in that sort of Joss Whedon sense of like what he, I guess, presumably thinks feminism is, we see that on full display here, where it's like, yes, you do have these badass women characters, but I feel like he like makes a point to accentuate that by like just making so many like sexist men say things, you know, like there's all this like sexist elements around it. Like you couldn't just have like these women be cool
Who
on
do
their
I
own,
have to
you know?
bang to get a ride off of this thing?
Yeah,
What
like
she
you have to
say?
have all
Oh.
these like weird lines that just really like, I'm like, what? But like it's, I mean, that seems to be like very evident to that era too, like where they're like, they really have to amplify it in a sense. It's very 90s in that sense, and a time capsule kind of. So I'll say it that way. But other than that, though, like this movie does really make me realize that the franchise as a whole is so interesting, and how so many different visions have kind of come together to create this narrative, which you could argue has a connective tissue, and maybe some could say it doesn't. But like each film you can really point to has a very like unique vision, right? For as much as we struggle with 3, it has a very unique vision and very unique like I from David Fincher, and this one is the same from Jeunet, who is a pretty visionary director on his own. He did lots of great French films, City of Lost Children, Amelie, to name a few, and his style is also on full display here. Like Grant mentioned, the kind of very very French angles, the very French like vibes. Like it's one thing that this movie does, I think, is it harkens back to that original where like the Geiger elements of it were very like hypersexualized, and this one kind of really digs back into like, okay, this is it's very like they up the sexualization in like the Frenchiest way possible, you know. And it's cool to see like that take on it. And I agree with all your guys' points. I think like those are interesting elements. I think the way that they brought Ripley back is like silly sci-fi, you know, bullshit, but also like kind of works in a sense.
I was yelling
like
boo at all of the like shots of clone Ridley
Oh,
when the movie starts. I was going
yeah.
boo.
It like I feel like the way like so here's what I read. This is kind of tying into some fun facts. The initial idea was they wanted to have a clone of Newt from Aliens, and that's what they're going to set around the franchise, or set around the film. And they realized they couldn't figure out a reason why they would be cloning Newt. And then somebody, I think it might have been some of the producers who actually were not a fan of making this movie anyway, thought it would make more sense to clone Ripley since she had the Queen. So therefore, if they're looking to access that alien Queen DNA, they would go there. So I can kind of see that. I think that kind of makes a little bit of sense. Again, sci-fi bullshit. 200 years in the future, interesting, kind of like you're saying, Khalid, it just gives us a different frame of reference for a world. I do want to piggyback off what Grant was saying about the scientist character. Just a shout out to Brad Dourif, iconic genre actor, awesome in this movie too.
He's so good at playing really creepy dudes.
He really is.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, where do I know that guy from? And he's Wormtail in Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
he's really good in everything, but yeah, he's particularly good at like creepy roles. I'm always excited when I see Brad Dourif pop in. I do think that the casting in this one was pretty good. There was some interesting like character, like Ron Perlman, for example, was fun to see in this. Like there's some other recognizable faces, like Michael Wincott, right, who's the captain of the Betty. Yeah, good actors in general.
Yeah, agreed. It's kind of weird to see Ron Perlman in this kind of role. Like, we've seen him in a lot of things where he's, grumpy and gruff, but never quite this level of total douchebag asshole.
Right.
I would say that Blade 2's character is this level.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I forgot about that. I agree with you there.
No, this is his wheelhouse, and I'm always a fan. You know what? Like, if it's a 90s like genre adventure, throw me a little Ron Perlman. That's gonna go a long way towards the good favor I have in the movie.
Fair enough.
Khalid, this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, if now that you're noticing it's a Joss Whedon like written film, like I would say like you could kind of see the seeds and like the archetypes for like what became like Firefly in a sense. And I feel like watching it, I think the Ron Perlman character was kind of like the Jane archetype, right?
Oh, 100%. Like Firefly came to mind when I was watching it. Like it felt like so many things of the 90s. Mm-hmm. And I think the big thing I was even going to ask you was like whether or not this movie was originally just like a random sci-fi action movie, and then like the studio was like, let's just throw the xenomorph in there.
Good question. It was not. No, he was intentionally writing an alien film. I think he wrote several drafts of it even before they said we're bringing Ripley back, like about the Newt character. But it was definitely meant to be an alien film.
Wow.
I think
probably could have used a couple more drafts. Am I
right? The two things that I physically kind of like winced at were, number one, like the fact that they could like the clones would be born with an alien inside of them. Like I can get the splicing of the two, I guess, from like the DNA and the blood that they got, but I don't understand why she would be born with the alien inside of her. The second thing was the ricochet kind of concept that they did a callback to, and neither one of them were fun or good.
Oh yeah, like the shooting, the ricochet bullet or whatever.
Yeah, the ricochet bullet. Like there's the scene where he does the ricochet off the ceiling, and then he does again in the second one. And it's like, why is that bullet so slow and big? It's weird. And it's kind of, is it like a laser? Is this a future thing? I don't know.
That's the thing though, is like it's a Guardians of the Galaxy ass like setting that they put the xenomorph in. It just doesn't work for that, like the whole thing is like, what if you put like this like supernaturally like good like killing machine creature up against like a normal man? Like it was just by virtue of it being a xenomorph that it had to take place in space, but like pretty much all the other movies like treat the fact that it's in space as like an incidental thing, and then this movie's like, no, it's just a wacky space adventure and they just came across a xenomorph. And that's why like 7 of them survive at the end, because of course they do, like in this world a xenomorph is like a raccoon that got loose.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I think an interesting thing to touch on is the really like I want to say like duality of the tone of this movie. So it's been on record before that Whedon and Jeunet were not happy with how each other treated this movie. They did not talk. They did not like each other's opinions. and it's made for a very conflicted kind of movie in a sense that doesn't quite know what it wants to be itself. So Whedon definitely envisioned like a more tongue-in-cheek kind of like thing. Like he wanted it to be like his stuff that he makes, right? Like Buffy, Firefly, right? Where like lots of quips and like a certain tone. Joss Whedon had criticized the movie, saying he said, quote, "They did everything wrong that they could possibly do. It wasn't so much that they changed the script, it's that they just executed in such a ghastly fashion as to render it almost unwatchable." And so Whedon blasts the film. Then Jeunet comes back and blasts Whedon in just a very recent interview in like 2022. I think Jeunet was interviewed in The Independent, and he says Whedon is, quote, "very good at making films for American geeks / something for morons." He says, "I hate
got his ass."
He said, "I hate these kinds of movies. They're so silly and so stupid."
I'll admit that so many parts of it feel a bit kind of like that 90s Godzilla film where he jumps through a skyscraper and it's shaped just like Godzilla. You know, like that kind of like, yeah, very cartoonish. You almost expect like weird sound effects.
Yeah.
There's something so perfect about that because, like, yes, in retrospect, this movie does feel like a Joss Whedon movie that hates Joss Whedon movies. Like, it feels...
Which I kind of like about it though. Like it's kind of a fun thing to think about when you're watching. Like he just like Jeunet like just hates everything Joss Whedon's doing and just like takes it and makes it just so much more French and like weird and like because he like obviously knows it's a pseudo comedy too. Like he's directing it with camp, but like his own style of camp. And I don't know. It's kind of cool. I think he made a good stamp.
Well, yeah, because like I feel like there are like levels of camp that like still have room for sincerity, and like you know, like just the idea of like imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Like there's like camp can be like sweet and genuine, but like that is not the kind of camp that Joss Whedon is known for. He is like a detached, devoid, ironic like mentality when it comes to his comedy and like the way he like looks at things, and it's so at odds with like the director here.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that Jeunet actually spoke almost no English at the time of shooting this and had to have a translator on set at all times?
Yeah, Bong Joon-ho did that. Like, that's fine.
That's true. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. He has since learned English pretty well, but that I can imagine like that's another thing that might have contributed to the challenge of tone.
If anything, he should have like knew even less English than he did. Like, it should have been more of a barrier. I want to see this movie as like more conflicted than it is.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh man, Winona Ryder, what'd you guys think of her?
Grant?
I mean, she's always like the most compelling character. And I feel like in a way though, she was kind of like took a step back in a lot of ways. And there are a lot of other characters that were just like, I guess, more bombastic and loud that in some ways overshadowed that, but she was still good. You know, the movie would never have been watchable without her.
Wow. I mean, I thought she was okay. I don't know that like I could take her or leave her. Like as long as I've got Ripley, I like that's usually my anchor through these movies because like I assume everybody else is like xenomorph bait.
Well, I think kind of what you were saying, Khalid, like about sincerity, like she's kind of meant to be like the sincere core to this. Like Ripley, like we're not quite sure. Like we're supposed to be unfamiliar with this Ripley.
Ripley's doing her own thing. She's like she's on a side quest.
Exactly. It's supposed to give us as audience like a level of unease because it's not the Ripley that we know after 3 movies. And that's a cool idea. But like, I think Call is supposed to be almost in a sense our perspective character, right? Like,
true.
Yeah, and I think that was cool, and I think the idea that she, as a perspective character, has that twist of being the robot is a cool idea. That I think there's more to it that I wish we would have seen, like when they had that twist, they're like 2nd generation robot, like or android, like you were an android made by androids.
Dump, like.
That's so much. They gave us so much at once, but like there are ideas there that are super cool. But I'm like, I wanted more at that. I need to marinate that a little bit, you know, like, and we also don't really even quite know what her. I don't think we know what her like plot was. Like, what was she was in there trying to stop the xenomorph because she knew about it. Like, who was she working? She was working with like the android. Like,
I don't know. She had a bunch of spit canisters for some reason.
Yeah, she
had some kind of plan.
Well, she was there like with a mission, but we don't quite know who she's working for, and maybe someone's going to write in and correct me.
It's
And I
a
missed
very
something, but
convoluted story. Like I kept having to like pause and like
yeah,
remember how all these people got together.
yeah, and I think there's like almost a missing prologue about Call. Like at that point when we had the info dump, it's almost like we needed like a full on like flashback or something, or like a story or something, like with scenes to go with it. I'm not sure, but that
Well, it's
probably
just
would have
like
interrupted the movie too.
so. As far as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, basically Winona Ryder and her crew, they like hijacked a ship full of hibernating miners and then sold them to a military space like station
Yep.
for test. That's it. Like, I don't understand. Was it like the testing station was like, hey, go get us some bodies or get us those specific bodies, and then they did it? Or was it just like, oh, we just managed to steal these bodies, are you in the market for some? Like, I don't understand what like the sequence was there.
I think that it was a job. I feel like the
Isn't
conversation
that
the
seems like
captain had.
such a hard way to get bodies?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I don't know, cryogenically frozen, it's probably not too. I don't know, like a cryogenic.
Like, well, yeah, I mean,
transportation
yeah, it's
thing.
like, I guess, yeah, it's like it's a ship full of sleeping people. I guess it makes sense in that way, but I just
Yeah.
feel like, just like,
How was it unguarded?
Right. I don't know.
How was that easy to just get these random sleeping people? I don't know.
I think that's one thing that you could kind of attribute to the universe, which we've established is like really overtly corporate rather than like any sort of like, I don't know, socialist or like progressive. It's like, so any sort of like checks or like corporate like well-being things would have been like mandated out by like this sort of like control, sort of controlled system in a sense.
sure, all
I feel like you can make that
all regulatory
regulation.
stuff
Yeah.
gives way to corporate greed. That's fair. I don't want to get too in the weeds about it. I'm literally just trying to like untangle like the knot that is this plot.
Yeah.
So okay, that makes sense. That's fair.
Just related to that though, like the pirates are like calling them cargo the whole time. They're like, oh yeah, it's cargo, these are cargo, all these people in here, they're cargo. And then it's like later on they find the one guy who's alive, and like it doesn't take very much convincing to them to be like, oh yeah, there's an alien in him, but like, oh, but he's alive. Like they switched really fast from like, they're cargo, whatever, we're just doing a job collecting money and we're trying to get out alive, to like, let's keep this guy alive.
Yeah,
Like,
it's kind of weird that like humanity's like last hope is like a bunch of human traffickers.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Like imagine like a sci-fi adventure that's just like a bunch of like slave owners fighting aliens. Like you would just be like, oh, how am I supposed to feel about this?
Who am I rooting for here?
Racist.
Probably
versus
the aliens, I
xenomorphs.
guess.
Real ethical quandary there. But that's the thing though, is like the movie like touches on so many ideas that I feel like it like if it does have this conversation, it's an accident, or if it starts this conversation, it's an accident. I don't think the movie wants you to think too hard about the fact that this is like human traffickers that also probably deserved like a horrible fate.
I don't think Joss Whedon wants you to think too hard about that.
Nope.
But maybe like the director did.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, trivia time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Couple cool trivia pieces. So,
this part.
are you thinking about the basketball scene?
Oh man, the basketball scene.
Oh, you just love the trivia part.
I just love the trivia part. It's like my favorite part.
Yeah. So there is the basketball scene. The behind the back shot was real. You know that, Khalid, right? We talked about this before.
Yeah. When I was watching it, it all started flooding back to me.
Yeah. So it sounds like it took her like some time to get it. Like there were some other takes that were done, and this was like the last chance take, and she finally made it. But she did like Sigourney Weaver trained like 2 weeks of basketball practice to try to get it, because she really wanted to like make it real, even though like Jeunet was like, we'll just do it digitally, it's fine. But she's like, nope, we're doing it. That is true. I think Jimmy pointed this out on our Alien 3 episode, that Ron Perlman has a genuine reaction there that I think they kind of kept a little bit in too at the end.
I don't know if it was worth it.
Yeah.
That sequence was goofy as hell, like a lot of this movie.
So goofy.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I just like, yeah, hybrid xenomorph Sigourney. I think there's an interesting idea that like doesn't get explored enough in the movie, but like about like this thing of like Ripley represents the Alien franchise in this
Mhm.
movie more than most. Of like they like the company literally will not let her die because like they can mine more money out of her suffering specifically. It has to be Ripley every time. And like so we have to like call Sigourney Weaver up and offer her more and more money so she can come back in a more convoluted way and like just be bastardized and say these awful things that Joss Whedon like smirks as he types up in a room somewhere. Like it's too apt of a metaphor that like she's like watching all of these like bizarro deformed attempts at like failed sequels basically of herself that she burns down. It's like, oh man, in a lot of ways like so this is the closest Sigourney's going to get to closure.
Yeah.
That scene actually is the reason she agreed to it. She said that was that scene in the script was her favorite scene, and she's like, I'll do the movie because that was pretty cool. And plus, I think she even was quoted as saying they just drove a pile of money to her house.
Oh,
Uh,
it's clear.
yeah, she was paid $11 million to come back, which is more than the entire cost of the original Alien film.
Yeah, she deserves every single penny for this crap.
She absolutely does. Like and she's an anchor of it too. Like she's good. Like she says stupid shit, but she's good at it.
She does so much with so little, and it's like I think what I do like is that she did find like the fun in a character like this, you know, because it's like you got to imagine coming back as Ripley in any other circumstance would just be like such a slog for her because it is the same thing over and over again. It's like, don't resurrect the xenomorph. It's going to kill everybody. And then nobody listens to her. It kills everybody. And then she has to figure out how to survive it. This movie is like, as an actor, so much more fun because it's like, yeah, what if you came back as like, I don't know, you were like frenemies with the xenomorph, you know? you're kind of its mom, but also like its lover, but also like you're like half it, so like you're stronger a little bit, you know, it's unclear, but you know, have fun with it. Like that's what's like so fun, you know, like this time around she actually gets to at least like get to play with a character that has been very reasonably limited by like more grounded storylines.
But then just to cap it off, it like gets a little bit more circle jerky where it's like, oh yeah, now you're half it, but now it's also half you. And so there's the grandma grandchild thing going on.
That's just good sci-fi though. Good sci-fi always inevitably gets up its own ass with lore, you know?
True. Any big franchise, yep.
Yeah, you always eventually get to like the like weird inbred like super monster.
And honestly, like that kind of shit, like that, like getting crazy with the lore. Like I know everyone's always like, oh, it always makes the mystery of it worse. But I do eat that stuff up. You know, like I always look out the extended universe and like want to read more. Like, what's the canon explanation? What's the deeper universe? Like I do kind of love that stuff.
Oh, Hodor, man. No, sometimes it's done really well and expands the world and like explains things and it's great. Other times it's J.K. Rowling telling you the wizards like poop on the floor.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Khalid, I need to ask. So Grant and I know we watched the same version because we were together, but do you know which version of this movie you watched?
It was the only one available on the quad whatever.
Okay, so at the end when they landed on Earth, what did it look like?
Did they land? I can't remember if they landed.
Did they land on Earth at the end of your version?
I don't think so. I think they were just still in the sky.
Okay, maybe you're right. Yeah. So you watched the original version, where I don't think they land. So the one that Grant and I watched was the special edition with a few extra scenes. Jeunet does not call it a director's cut because he says my original is the director's cut. This is just an extra one with some extra fun stuff. But it's an alternate ending where they land the Betty on Earth. And it's like all like destitute wasteland, and you see like the Eiffel Tower like mostly destroyed in the background. So that's kind of how they end that one. There's also another thing that is only in the special edition and not in the version that you watched, Khalid, where there's an offhanded thing where Ripley brings up the company to the scientists in the beginning, and they're like, the company, what company? And someone comes in, it's like Weyland Yutani. She was an employee of theirs. They were bought by Walmart many years ago.
Dang, that's a good joke. I'm sorry I missed that.
So
That would have
that's
been hilarious.
It's an insane, like, offhanded comment to make. Like, I mean, it's a joke, yeah, but like implications of like this big bad boogeyman company for like so long in the franchise, just like offhandedly bought by Walmart is all.
I don't
It's
know. We're
kind of
10 years away from like
genius,
Amazon
right?
becoming like a defense contractor.
Right. No, I'm saying it's kind of genius, but just like
Yeah.
insane, like how that's a one-off thing that was cut from the final cut too.
I mean, if you're betting on like cynicism when it comes to like forecasting capitalist markets, you're almost always going to be right.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought it's interesting to bring up the small differences in the two cuts of the movie. So.
Right, because I mean that one was also just like particularly right, because it's like in Demolition Man, they're like, oh, Taco Bell won the franchise wars. Taco Bell still exists, but it's not super powerful. Whereas like Walmart's like the second most powerful corporation in the world.
Wait, Walmart is right now?
Practically, yeah.
Is it? I thought that I assume that. Well, yeah, I guess you're talking about in terms of like physical retail stores.
Maybe, I don't know, just like the bottom line, even I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know the stats either way, so I'll take your word for it. But yeah, no, I'm
saying like 30 years in the future, you know, here we are, and that actually kind of like landed.
It's kind of a bummer that this does break that streak though of like kind of corporate commentary. I know you're saying that in your version of it they have that one throwaway joke. Even if my movie had it, this movie loses what even the third one at least attempted to do, I think, which is like kind of have a conversation about like what like a soulless corporation can do to different sects.
Agreed. I think that element, I think there's a lot of cool elements in this, and we talked about that, and some of them are rushed, but that is one thing that I think is just ingrained in the Alien franchise DNA that this one is really lacking, which can really, I think, contribute to why people will kind of cut this one off from like think of this as the worst in some sense. Like this one just feels removed, and it really is. I mean, it's 200 years away from the original trilogy, but I think that is a huge piece of why I think this feels so like different.
I mean, they just make the xenomorph feel so inconsequential to everything, which is weird, you know, because it's supposedly like built. I don't like the fact that like so many of them survive at the end. Like the jeopardy just wasn't ever there. It just felt like a rip-roaring adventure, and that's just not an Alien movie to me.
They made a case to like say there are like 12 more xenomorphs, but we really only see like one or I mean the rest of them are just presumably on the ship.
Of like so much stuff. Like the body count was like high, yet there were still a lot of people still alive. Like I still think it's so ridiculous that like they wait to introduce like our main cast 25 minutes in, and then 30 minutes in we get a hero shot of them. Like with the door opening.
We did right away, didn't we? Yeah.
Like straight out of like fucking Apocalypse Now or something, like, or Armageddon, I mean, where it's just like this hero shot of like these like 7 dudes that like we literally just met.
I think one of the things that upset me kind of in the last part of the film was that they just had the newborn just one shot the queen. Like the queen is the big bad in, 2. And she's just so legendary, so powerful, so large. And then it's just like, oh, it's born and it just smacks its face off. It's like, I think it would have been more compelling if it ran away or something like that. And we still had the queen separate from that. Like just maintaining that there's a big power there. You can still have the hybrid DNA without it being, the most strongest thing on the whole ship.
Yeah, the queen was done dirty there, I think.
I was hoping when the queen opened its mouth that since it's half Sigourney Weaver or like half Ripley, that like the small mouth would be Ripley's head.
Like a Pez or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be too cartoony.
Whatever. This movie did so much like just like nonsensical bullshit. I don't care.
One more surprise. One more small trivia piece that I thought was kind of fun, just in terms of like us, Khalid, as like monster podcasters. One of the Cronenberg was approached to direct this at first and almost agreed to it, but ultimately passed. And he said, "I don't even do my own sequels. I never made Alien or I never made The Fly 2. Why would I do Aliens 4?"
That is a very good answer.
Yeah, right. But it does make me really want to see a Cronenberg Alien film. I think that'd be really interesting.
Well, he's not going to make Aliens 8 or whatever.
He's absolutely not going to. I don't know. Maybe he's softened in his old age. I don't know. But he would not. But it does sound, I thought that was a fun response.
I would rather have like Verhoeven than Cronenberg.
Oh yeah, Verhoeven would be a good one. Like I think
Yeah.
we're getting the Fede Alvarez Alien 5, which was or new I don't know if 5 is not the right term, but next Alien film, which has just got a release date of I think late summer 2024, I want to say. So that's the next one we get to look forward to.
Wow.
I think he'll bring some cool stuff to it, like coming off of the 2013 Evil Dead. He's got a good eye for like practical effects and gnarly shit.
Oh, I eagerly await it.
Agreed. The last thing I want to talk about before we dig into the monster of it all, we talked a little bit about monsters, but I like to tie in the themes of the film and kind of ask you guys what stood out most to you. So I think this one is not as thematically like strong as some of the other ones. This is just like a bunch of like sci-fi ideas that you throw at the wall, but there are some things there. Like motherhood certainly makes a big return from 2. Like that's a huge part of that. There's the intersection of like humanity and technology, ethics or morality of cloning, genetic manipulation, what that looks like. I mean, the movie is clear on, I think they're trying to make a stance that it's bad. Ideas of creation are in here. This kind of like seeds of that, which we see really play out. Creation is a big parts of Prometheus and Covenant. So like in a sense, you could say that was like started here. What themes do you guys think were the most pronounced of what we got in that film?
Grant, you got something?
I mean, I kind of already touched on like the cargo versus humanity thing, like them turning that around really quick. One thing that also kind of stuck out to me is that like in the past, they weren't really able to study the xenomorphs as adults. Like typically they'll have them as eggs and stuff like that, but they didn't usually have them like caged and just in a room. And so that was kind of interesting to have that interaction, I guess. But I think it was sort of like this doctor thing because it was a lot of that was that and then like the cloning stuff. So it seemed like the doctors were actually playing like a bigger part of that. And then you've got the one doctor who's kind of surviving later, Ren, who is trying, and you kind of feel like he's actually going to get away. And like he's like shooting call and like betraying people. And even though he's disarmed and everybody's against him, he still manages to turn around and he's almost plays a fairly main role in the movie. So to me, it almost seems like the doctors and what they're doing in that whole thing played the biggest part. And that's also why the movie is there in the first place, right? It's the resurrection of Ripley and the resurrection of this alien. I feel like this is in a way kind of centered on the doctors and their efforts.
Interesting. What about you, Khalid?
I think I kind of touched on it, like with the cloning aspect and what it just like speaks to about that weird human like desire to like keep like resurrecting something, and it doesn't matter how ghastly it looks. I recently watched The Flash, the new Warner Brothers movie that just came out, and I don't know if people are following the online chatter about it or if they've seen anything about it, mild spoilers, but there is a sequence in that where they literally just bring back like computer generated images of like now dead actors, long since dead actors. And it just really comes to mind when I think about what this movie is tackling with the clones of Ripley and this idea of like what something owes to us, to the point of like, even if it's run its course, we still drag it out for our consumption, for our benefit. And it's just really fascinating to think about. You could go down a few rabbit holes with it.
Great points.
I like that.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the cloning is the strongest bit. I mean, that's a huge like plot point in general, but it's interesting coming on looking at the cloning bits to compare it to Prometheus, or particularly Covenant, with the idea of like, it's I guess spoilers if people haven't seen Covenant yet because we haven't covered that one yet. But like David's trying to, the David character is trying to like create the perfect organism kind of thing, and we see that through like more biological means, in like designing that, and the cloning is a different element of that with just like more tech involvement. So I think that like bridge between the films is kind of an interesting one to look at. So yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you guys.
We're in agreement.
Yeah. Should we monster then?
Let's monster.
All right. I love this one. we'll get to it last. The newborn is the star of the show in terms of the new monster to talk about. But I have a few things to point out before that. Geiger, H.R. Geiger, has thoughts about this movie, as you might imagine. He says, the creatures in Alien Resurrection are even closer to my original Alien designs than the other ones which appear in Aliens and Alien 3. The film also resurrects my original designs for the other stages of the creature's life cycle, the eggs, the facehugger, and the chest burster. And he says, quote, Alien Resurrection is an excellent film.
That tracks. I did think that the alien design in this one was the best.
Yeah, he loved it. He was still pissed he didn't get the right credits in, especially a theatrical release. The video later on, like, put him in there, but he's still like bitter about some of that. But he thought that this was a good movie overall.
He absolutely should be bitter.
Yeah, no, totally fair. Ultimately, so for this, we get the special effects company, Amalgamated Dynamics Incorporated, ADI, which did Alien 3. And I believe they go on to do Alien versus Predator films as well. So they're kind of the effects company that's working with this franchise. But they ultimately based their designs and modifications of the alien creatures on the script, which included the creatures having like more pointed tails for the swimming, making the head, domes, and chins just a little more pointed and establishing them to appear like more vicious with certain like camera angles. So like mostly, as Geiger pointed out, the designs are quite similar to the original. Just like there's a little bit more like, I think, dynamic element to make them like more large body shots, and the swimming sequences, there's some CGI there as well. But the other big creature that we do get to see is the cloned queen. So the cloned queen, and this is really interesting, the head was the very same head used to portray the queen in Aliens, which was lost, but they were able to acquire it from a private collector named Bob Burns, and then repainted with like a new shimmering like paint scheme, and gave it some ground and green tones to kind of change it up a little bit. The original molds for the queen's arms and legs were all and tail were all recovered from a replica company in Colorado. The body, though, was destroyed beyond repair in the 10 years since Aliens. However, was not a big issue because most of the screen time, the queen's torso and abdomen were like distended as like a result of the kind of birth that she has to do. So,
what did Bob Burns do to the body?
I don't know.
No, there's a true crime story there.
Yeah,
we need to investigate.
It's a spin-off podcast here.
Exactly. We got to go full serial on Bob Burns.
It's so another interesting thing about the queen in this one is so as Grant pointed out, there's sort of like that twisty like sci-fi thing about like Ripley's part alien, but the queen is part Ripley now. So like she's got two modes of reproduction. It can make the eggs, but also suddenly has like a secondary reproductive cycle and is able to give like a live birth. Hence we get the newborn. Which interesting, right? What do you guys think about that?
I'll be honest, it was confusing in the moment. I was trying to track like what it was that I was looking at, and like I just eventually was just like, it's just an inbred xenomorph. That's like I was getting real what's that barbarian vibes.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. It felt like a copy of a copy.
Yeah.
Just before like that scene happens, she like drops down in there, right? Or gets pulled down
in like the nest or whatever. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on when that happens. There's so much like weird alien flesh, but no limbs and no bodies or anything. It's just like an amorphous pit, and they don't explain it at all. And she just gets sucked into it. And I don't even understand what's happening there. Is that the queen? Is that what the 12 xenomorphs are that are missing? Like, are they all just sitting there? Are they helping her give birth in this weird way? Like, what is happening there? But
so the queen made 12 eggs, right? And then that's what the miners were like pinned in front of.
I think so. Yeah.
And then they birthed the 12 xenomorphs.
Yes.
And the queen is just the head xenomorph.
The queen was what they resurrected with Ripley.
Right. No, I'm saying like, that like you were saying there were 12 of them, but we only saw a few of them, right? Like we only saw a certain number of them. Where were the rest of them? And I'm saying, is that what the pit is?
Yeah.
Like,
your question is, what is that fleshy mass? I don't know. I don't think any of us know.
That's that queen ass. That's that
Was it?
ass,
The
baby.
whole thing
Was that what it was?
The queen's
That's,
ass.
that's a dump truck ass, baby.
God damn.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
y'all were
it
wondering
makes
about
sense.
ass? You should have asked me.
She got the hybrid DNA, and she got the
She got that
the pregnancy
Sigourney
in the front,
donk. Yeah.
and she got the dumpy in the back.
Where'd she get that ass from? She got it from Sigourney Weaver.
Well, that answers that question.
That's all I'd say about it.
Joe, normally you're the expert here, but I got called up to bat, and I think I knocked that one out the park.
You really stepped up, Khalid. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Back to you.
All right. Great segue. Let's talk about the newborn, the hybrid alien, which is in a sense the kind of like the big centerpiece creature for this one. And I remember this one when I was a kid. This creature probably freaked me out more than any of the other ones watching this. Like, it's just so like grotesque and disgusting. But yeah, it's interesting to rewatch now, but it's still pretty grotesque. So the newborn creature that Joss Whedon originally scripted in the film was very different and the one that they created. So he had originally written like this eyeless white creature with 6 limbs, 4 spider-like legs at the front with 2 like dog-like rear limbs. Also like bulging red veins, elongated alien head and inner jaw, and like pincers on the side of its head. So that was his original vision. But Jeunet later told ADI to say, let's make it more human-like since it's supposed to be a human-alien hybrid, right? So he kind of nixed all of Joss Whedon's ideas for that. The design then was kind of like changed. They added eyes and nose to improve like expression and make it more of a character rather than kind of just like a killing machine to give it more like depth, I guess you could say. Like I think that actually was done really well. Like the scene where it's like being sucked out, like the looking into its eyes was kind of depressing, right? Yeah, that was like,
eyes were so goofy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The whole thing threw me off. I don't want to like poo-poo it. Like, I don't think it was like 100% ineffective. And if I was a kid, that would freak me the F out. But I didn't see it as a kid. I saw it as a man in his early to mid 30s. And that looked really silly in a lot of ways. It looked it literally looked half baked. Like, it did not look like it was like it looked like a premature creature. Like the muscles and skin that it was supposed to have just hadn't come in yet. Like, it was like part ligament still.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it though. Like, I think that's
I know it's on purpose. I'm just saying, like, it looks like a hot pocket that you only put in for like 30 seconds. Like, you on sight, you can tell it's still kind of frozen.
Yeah, it's meant to be like unnatural. Like, it's not supposed to be a thing that looks right. Like, it's supposed to look off, and it really does.
I don't know why they gave it a Gene Simmons tongue though.
Ugh, yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, the compromise is like it's not fully a xenomorph, so it's got a human tongue, but it's still a xenomorph in length, I guess. I don't know.
In length,
although I say that, but like I'm imagining a human tongue coming out of it. It's so much worse.
Like a tiny tongue?
Just like a tiny human tongue just like wriggling out of it. It's so gross. I retract it. This is the best they could do.
In a way, it was a callback because earlier in the film, Sigourney Weaver just pulls that whole, mouth tongue out of that other xenomorph and hands it to that other character. So they're kind of like, oh, different tongue. Goofy. Remember the other tongue? Huh. Yeah, but I don't know if it landed, but they
just everything really they do with the xenomorphs in this one. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think like as I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is kind of like a goofy, fun adventure. Why don't people ever bring it up? And it's like, oh, if you have any kind of reverence for the xenomorph, this movie just undoes it at every turn. And it's like in a very like backhanded way of almost like, oh, everybody that died before was foolish for not being like a swashbuckling space pirate.
Yeah, I think specifically to like why it A, probably scares Joe, and B, is goofy to you is because it kind of reaches like that uncanny valley area. Like the same thing with like why we want robots to kind of look different from us. Like the closer it reaches to looking human without actually looking human is kind of like the weirder it is. So it just flips a lot of weird switches in our brain that kind of either makes us think it's goofy or scares us, just on a scientific level.
I just think there's a lot going on there where it's like, okay, you kind of have me with clone Ripley coming back and like she's spliced with the creature. That's a kind of interesting angle, but you didn't need to do it the other way too, where like the alien births a spliced human xenomorph like abomination. I think that was just, it's a hat on a hat. You're not really saying anything interesting with that creature. The design doesn't like justify it, and it's a lot less compelling. Like it's just like with Sigourney, it's like you get a more effective human ultimately. Like it's an interesting question of like, oh, what if we did just like splice ourselves with it? Like we lose our humanity a little, but we're more efficient. With the xenomorph, you're just getting a weaker model, you know?
Yeah,
It's
it might have been more compelling if they kind of did the exact opposite, where the xenomorph still looked the same but had human emotion. Like it still had that, like,
yeah, that's
grandma,
interesting.
I want to be held kind of thing, but it looked like the xenomorph still.
And they kind of did that with the hive mind thing they were doing with like the queen had that like all the, or were those humans talking as a hive mind, or am I making that up?
The
The ones that were
cocoon
like
people?
pinned up, like the cocoon ones.
I don't. I think that was just. I think they were just. I don't think they were part of the hive mind, were they?
Oh, okay. For a
No.
while there, I thought they were a hive mind, but now I'm realizing they were just dying men talking.
Yeah.
Well, they should have done a hive mind and done it the way Grant is saying, because that would have been interesting. Where like like it talks through the cocoon humans, and it's like Sigourney gets like that's a good movie. Sigourney goes like
Yeah.
crazy evil, and then the xenomorph is the hero.
Hmm.
Ooh, that would be way better.
That's a way better way to tackle that. Where it's like who got like you got your peanut butter in my chocolate kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be interesting. Yeah. I think that there's like an element of in making a movie like this in a franchise, you have to be like, how are you going to justify it by making it something bigger and badder? Like Jurassic Park 3, when they brought in the Spinosaurus and killed off the T-Rex right away, which, made everybody mad, but they felt like they had to do it to establish that. And they did that with this newborn. They're like, we got to find something that's bigger and badder somehow. And they're like, how can we figure out a way to make that happen? And this is what they came up with. And for better or worse, it's what it is. I do get what you're saying. I think maybe just because this movie is like so rooted in my like childhood interest in like the alien. I do like the newborn, and I like the creature and the way it looks. I think it's really creepy. I don't know. I'm okay with it.
For me, that concept, I'm sure there are so many other like series of films that have done this before this, but I consider that the DBZ paradox, where there is always another huge
Mhm.
mega ultra dude who is better than the last person who went Super Saiyan or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but and maybe they're not the first, but they're definitely like the epitome of it. Maybe not even the most notorious for it, but like I feel like they took it to the extreme and had no apologies for that concept at all. They
The
just keep doing
problem
it.
with it is though that like the xenomorph in the first movie is the apex predator. It's the
Yeah.
perfect killing machine. So all they're
Exactly.
doing, they're just making it bigger. Like I don't like that's also scary. Like I don't, it's not like a would you rather. Like I don't know which one I would rather go up against. They're both gonna like destroy me. You just like I just don't, I feel like they misunderstand it when like the only way they can like raise the stakes or like expand the scale is to literally expand the scale.
Yeah. No, I you are all making very great points. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's very silly, and this whole movie is very silly, and like conceptually within like the universe, it's very doesn't quite work. Yeah, like you make the case in the first one, it's a perfect organism. You don't need to keep making bigger and badder. Like the Queen edition, even to some extent, you could make it see as contentious, but I think that was like a good direction to take it. But since then, they've just been trying to figure out the best way to like do something to up the stakes, and it just complicates it further, unnecessarily so in that sense. And so that's unfortunate. Couple other small trivia pieces about the newborn. The team originally considered giving the creature Ripley's face like directly, so almost that would have been weird. It would have had like translucent gelatinous skin, and internal organs being visible. So there were some other ideas there.
I feel like they repurposed that for the clone room.
They kind of did, yeah. That's the clone room might have been some like pre-concept sketches or something. That's kind of an interesting idea. Jeunet did want the newborn to have genitalia, a mix of both sexes. So it was built with like genitalia, but Fox was uncomfortable and yeah,
Very French.
They did not like it. And Jeunet actually said, he said later on, he said, quote, even for a Frenchman, it's too much. So they were digitally removed in post. So there's that. Yeah.
That is so funny.
The actual model that they ended up creating was mounted on a crane and incorporated a complex like hydraulic system with like a computer that they used to move it. And there was also like kind of some motors inside to make the face move. So that I think when looking at practical monsters, the way that they make the facial features move, I think on this one was really good. It ultimately took 9 puppeteers to operate and has been described as one of the most complex animatronics ever created.
Cool.
So that's kind of cool. I think even if you have problems with how it looks, I think the effort that went into making it like kind of look sort of realistic was admirable and well done. One other interesting small like aside is, so when Sigourney Weaver was filming her scenes with the newborn creature, she makes a point like in her performance to not look it in its eyes until the very end. And this was kind of like a lesson she learned when she was making a film called Gorillas in the Mist, about how you don't make eye contact with potentially dangerous animals. So if you watch her performance with the alien creatures throughout it, she doesn't make eye contact.
She probably would have really liked Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, she would have liked Nope. Good point.
Slightly related, that's how you like woo cats. Like if you've got a feral kitten and you want it to come get some food so that you can bring it to a shelter or something like that, never look it in the eyes because it like will just have fear. It's built into that.
Well, I didn't know that.
I'm sure Jim can tell you all about that. He raised like 500 kittens in his life.
Damn. I'm sure we'll have to ask him about the next time he's on. Jim and cats. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got about the newborn. It was interesting stuff.
No, I mean, not my favorite in the franchise, but it's not as bad. Like, it's not terrible either. For me, it was a little cruder than I'd hoped.
Yeah. Grant, how does this one rank for you? 3rd, I'd say, right, for you?
Yeah. I mean, the Alien 3 is like, it has some interesting concepts. I like that they tried new things. That was something that I think, Khalid, you said a lot about the last one. And I agree with that. I like that they were trying new things, especially considering that, it's already a threequel. And this one was kind of going back to just falling back into like sequel motion. But yeah, otherwise it's good.
Yeah, it's a fun ride. It's if you think too much about it, like where our job is to do on the podcast, there are lots of holes, but I think it's fun.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously, like I said, 1, 2, then 4, then 3. Sorry, I didn't tell my whole order.
I think that's where I'm at too.
4 beats 3 just for the sheer balls of it.
Yeah. The digitally erased balls.
Exactly. Yeah, the digitally erased genitals of it were so just magnificent.
Yes. Should we move on to our final segment?
We shall.
All right. So our final segment of the show is our What the Fandom segment, in which we each share something that we're into, watching, listening to, reading, playing, what have you, that we think you guys might dig. May or may not have anything to do with aliens or monsters. So our guests tend to go last. So Grant, I'll let you hang out with your ideas, even though I know you already have them. Khalid, what the fandom with you this week?
Thanks for asking, Joe. I have 2 What the Fandoms this week. They're both TV shows, so I'm still keeping up with that tradition. The first is going to be Boots Riley's new Amazon Prime TV series, I'm a Virgo. The first season dropped as of this recording last weekend, and it's great. It's about this 13-foot tall black man in Oakland, California, and the adventures he gets into in a very colorful and cartoonish world. If you've seen Boots Riley's directorial debut feature, Sorry to Bother You, you are going to be primed for the kind of like idiosyncratic, like auteur vision that he brings to I'm a Virgo. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend watching that just because it's a great movie. But if you want to watch the show first, you can still jump in. It's not going to be like impossible to like understand. It's just a very specific vision that's executed with like a lot of skill and craft. And I'm just a big fan of Boots Riley, and I'm very happy to see that he is continuing like this like trend of like exciting work out of his oeuvre. Uh, and my second recommendation is going to be the Hulu / I think FX series The Bear season 2. That also just came out this week, and man, I was lukewarm on the first season. I'm not even sure if it made it to What the Fandom for me, but season 2 really just came back swinging. The cast is better than they were before. The guest stars they got this time around just add so much more to it, and it's just I really just am like clicking with the vision for the show in a way that season 1 like almost got me there. And so yeah, I highly recommend it to anybody who was like maybe like me and was like, I'm 50-50 on season 1. I don't know if I'll come back. I highly recommend you give it another shot. It's a lot more than just like the busy, yelling, stressed show that it was in the first season, and it's gives like the quieter moments, like the time to breathe, and it's all the better for it. So those are my 2 recommendations, Joe. And What the Fandom with you?
Thanks for asking, Khalid. You getting me really excited about I'm a Virgo. It's been on my to watch list right away, but I got to get on that one.
Get it.
Are you implying it's in the same?
Man, like
Is it
I
the same?
was going to say that like Sorry to Bother You is such a trip. So like
so
that
good.
gets me really excited to see that show.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the main character, the actor who plays the main character in I'm a Virgo, Jarrell Jerome. He was in Moonlight and a few other movies.
Yeah, he looked familiar.
He's just such a delightful actor, and it's just cool to see him like leading a show like this.
Were you trying to imply it's the same universe as Sorry to Bother You? Like, is it like a sequel?
No, I just meant more stylistically. It'll prime you.
Oh, okay, I see what
Nice.
you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. Is it like a one and done like miniseries, or is it planning to go on for more? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I only watched 2 episodes as of now, so I can't speak to where it's headed, like if it like is a pretty definitive end or not. But you know, it's today's TV landscape. Like everything's a miniseries until it's not.
True. Anyway, excited for it. All right, my fandom this week. I haven't been watching or reading a whole lot of new things that I haven't already recommended, but I'll just throw out what I'm really excited about right now. I just, as of this recording a couple days ago, finally caught up on the first 2 episodes of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds season 2, which just came out on Paramount Plus. The first episode was a pretty fun kind of just adventure-y episode, like a classic Steal the Enterprise plot. Got some Klingons back. We hadn't seen Klingons for a while. They look kind of old school. So the first episode was great, but it's episode 2 that really came back hard, I'd say. One thing Star Trek fans are always excited about is when a show goes into like a trial or a courtroom episode. And we get a courtroom episode that just is firing on all cylinders. It's super well done. There are some truly like great, profound moments. It gives some of these characters a really good chance to shine. A new character, a guest star, and that is just phenomenal. But I was super impressed with episode 2, and I'm very excited to see where this season goes. I know we're going to get a little crossover with the Lower Decks crew in this one. I'm very excited for that. There's some other like plots that are teased that I'm pretty excited to see play out. I'm just overall really excited for where this show goes. Like it's just such a visually impressive show. The acting is really good. The characters are really strong. I've been really happy with it so far. And that coupled with the news of like Paramount just recently canceled Star Trek Prodigy, one of their other shows, was a huge bummer. And I'm really hoping that we can show, I don't know, hopefully the viewership shows up and shows like Star Trek is still something people are excited to keep watching. So I will continue to plug it. So that's my fandom this week. How about you, Grant? What the fandom with you?
I got a couple things to say. One of them is kind of like a crossover video game anime series. I don't know if anyone's brought it up before. I know Jim and I have talked about it at length, but Cyberpunk is actually a really cool world. Started as a tabletop game and then kind of turned into video games and then turned into an anime series that's on Netflix. And it is super dystopian. So, like, to the core. So, at the very end of it, you won't feel super good, but the characters are really compelling. The world is really well created. So, it'll keep you coming back for more. The other thing I want to talk about is for those of you that like tabletop RPGs and you like D&D, but you want to change it up and do something more flexible, is Blades in the Dark. It's set in 1870s alternate universe, so it's kind of got that industrial revolution steampunky vibe, but it's very dark, and there's lots of like spirits and dark energies and things like that that haunt different parts of this city that your characters live in, and they're kept out of most of places by these lightning towers that are powered by demon blood that is harvested from these like leviathan demons in the sea. And so what's really cool about the system is that instead of using all these different kinds of dice, you usually use just like D6s, and the person who runs it kind of creates things on the fly, and you kind of decide how things go together. So it's a lot more flexible. The game master doesn't have to do as much like beforehand prep. I've been kind of studying the book and getting ready to run sessions, so I'm hoping to get some people and test it out more. I need to for sure do it for Jim and Andy because they've been dungeon masters for D&D for me. So I'm really excited to get into that.
Cool. I've heard of that one, but I don't know much about it. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we should wrap it up. Grant, I wanted to say thank you. I know you've been a long time listener and a good friend of ours, so it's been a long time coming to finally have you on the show, and this was a fun one to have you on for. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, pleasure to be here.
It was great. It was great. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Khalid, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you again, Grant. It was great having you on. This is a super fun discussion. Thank you to everybody at home for listening to another installment of our XENOMANIA adventures. And until next time, creep it easy.